Welcome to the Video Lab Live Show, your interactive live stream about video-specific marketing and online video content. Okay, here's a crazy stat. Are you ready for this? According to Social Pilot marketing research, viewers claim they retain 95% of the information that is given in video form. I'm going to repeat that, okay? Viewers claim that they retain 95% of the information that is given in video form. 95%. That's blowing my mind right now. So that's where the education and information style based video content comes in. And if you're not using online video to educate potential customers, you are missing out on a huge opportunity. It's almost like video education or maybe explainer videos or informational style videos. It's almost like it's the new networking in 2024. It's like the new networking, getting the word out, that type of thing, top of funnel stuff. So this type of online video, this education style video, has a potential to reach a much broader audience. And we're going to chat with someone who, from my perspective, outside looking in, has this totally figured out. So today on the show, I've got Tamien Dysart in studio. Tamien is one of the co-founders of Think3D Solutions based here in South Dakota. Think3D helps companies improve culture by building leaders with solutions for personal development, skills, and accountability. And we're going to hear more about Think3D here shortly. However, the thing that blows me away as I sit here right now with Tamien is their emphasis on online video content. And I'm excited to have this success story conversation with Tamien today. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, hopefully you'll find some inspiration or maybe motivation as you kind of reflect on your own video presence. All right, I'm just double checking the platforms here, making sure that everything's running. It looks like we're up and running. Now, you're going to want to stick around till the end of this episode because Tamien is going to give his one thing. If you don't get anything else from this whole conversation, Tamien's one thing is something that you're not going to want to miss. Now, this live stream is interactive, which means at any point you can jump into the comments, and I have the comments popped up right here. Jump into the comments or the chat and bring your questions or your input to the show. And you know what? I want to start getting your fingers warmed up just a little bit. All right. So if you're watching, I just want you to jump into the chat, whatever platform you're on, jump into the chat, say hi, and let me know where you're watching from. Just say hi and let me know where you're watching from, whether that's in South Dakota or anywhere else around the country. Let me know where you're watching from. If you don't know me, my name is Caleb, and I'm a video educator and video creator and founder of the Video Lab, which is fully video education, like this show, what we're doing right here, right now. It's fully video production for social media and website videos, and a video studio for content creators who need to make simple, quick turnaround video content. So make sure you follow and subscribe to the Video Lab, and the links are in the description. Frederick is here, and Frederick is watching from Louisville. Welcome, Frederick. So glad to have you here on the live stream. Now, I've been doing freelance video production since 2012 in and around Sioux Falls. I also have a personal YouTube channel other than the Video Lab, and if you search Caleb Hoover in YouTube, my channel will probably pop up. I started uploading content during the pandemic, and I just upload content about the cameras that I use. And I've grown that to around 23,000 subscribers. And on that channel, I work with filmmaking brands from around the world, making review videos and tutorials, which has led to them sending me to places like Japan and California for camera release parties and content workshops, things like that. And hopefully here in 2024, we'll have a few more places that we're going. Niobe jumps into the chat from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Welcome to the chat, Niobe. So glad to see you. Well, if you're interested in learning more about how to grow on YouTube for your business or your brand, here's something that you should do right now. Just go down to, actually do this after the episode. Don't do it right now. Do it after the episode. Go down to the description and click on the link that is the free online YouTube workshop. You know, I have several lined up here in the next few months, and we'll go over some basics like channel layout, keys to successful content, monetizing your channel, and a bunch of other things in that workshop. And it's totally free. It's helpful. It can get you rolling on the most powerful platform on the web. And I do believe that is the most powerful platform on the web. The link's in the description. Go check that out. Now, I started this live stream. The Video Lab live show is a mostly weekly interactive live show streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn to help you harness the power of online video with video-specific marketing tips, tricks, and trends. And I really hope this show brings some value to you and provides things that you can incorporate into your video workflow like right away, right after this episode. This afternoon, you can. There we go. I think we're going. Everything's still buffering. Looks like we're good. Well, I've got Tamien on the show today, founder of Think 3D Solutions, and he's sharing how his company is successfully using online video content. Make sure you jump into the chat, say hi, and let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions for Tamien about online video content, toss those into the chat as well. Now, I do have a little disclaimer before we get into the conversation. These episodes are just to show some possibilities that you have with video, but doesn't necessarily mean everything is going to work like magic for you. It requires a ton of hard work, consistency, strategy, and possibly even partnering with professionals like Tamien or myself to get the results that you hope for. And with that being said, maybe toss some clap hand emojis or something into the chat, and let's bring in Tamien in this guest intro sponsored by The Breaks Coffee. How's it going, Tamien?
Excellent.
Excellent.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in. You just got back from a trip, so you're like jumping right in.
Jumping right in. Yeah, got back this weekend from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So feeling excelente.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit beforehand. Do you feel relaxed after vacations, or do you feel more stressed after vacations?
I feel I'll call it rejuvenated. You know,
okay.
is my day-to-day is so structured of long work days, getting after it, so I can go enjoy life and go on vacations. But
Nice.
I make sure that if I'm out of that routine, it's good by way of coming back rejuvenated, so I have the energy and motivated too. I'm inspired by going to other places, and so I'm getting after it. 4 o'clock this morning, I was up and into it. So
love it. Now, tell us a little bit about Think 3D and like what the purpose behind Think 3D is.
Yeah, so Think 3D, we my business partner Vani Harari and I co-founded the company in 2016. Primarily work with organizations to help them build intentional culture. Having spent, I would say, collectively about 30 plus years collectively between him and I working inside of organizations, seeing both the good of healthy cultures and a lot of bad from toxic cultures. And which really led us to our core statement at Think 3 that a culture will emerge whether intended or not. But if it's not one that you invest in, it's certainly one that you pay for. And in the ecosystem of work, you know, again, the average working professional spends between 50 and 75% of their waking hours at work, going to work, thinking about work, etc. So really, when we beg the question, can you say I don't like my job and I love my life? And the answer is no, something that takes up that big of a chunk. And so culture isn't something that just sits in a business. It's universal. Is less than cultures lead to less than citizens of a community. So all tethered together by the health and well-being of culture, whether that's community culture, home culture, workplace culture. So we help people basically improve upon whatever culture, wherever they're at in their current state.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, you also have like some new endeavors that's kind of coming down the pipeline with, I think was just announced with like a retreat.
Yeah, Culture
Center.
Cove.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that, Culture Cove.
Next wave. So we just purchased a few weeks ago a 10-acre property, a retreat space. It'll be up and running June 1st for sure. We're pushing for May, but the idea behind that is it's mind, body, spirit. You know, in a day and age, people need to get away. They need to get refreshed. They need to get around other like-minded individuals. And, you know, in the world of putting ourselves first, this kind of Midwestern modesty that we have, we give and we give and we give. One doesn't have to look very far to see how people are walking around at 60%, 70%. And speaking of, you know, being on a plane, just come back, you hear that announcement all the time. If the turbulence happens and the oxygen mask drop, put your mask on first because you're no good to anybody if you're passed out. Well, that should be the life announcement is when turbulence is going to happen. Life is going to happen. It happens to us all. When it happens, do you have your oxygen mask on? And most people are going through the motions. They're just rinsing and repeating good enough. fine. And the repercussions or the collateral damage to that is people are going home less than, and we're seeing now that wave of this next generation looking at the world different. One quick stat, the Bureau of Labor just came out, the average tenure amongst 25 to 34-year-olds, the average tenure is 2.8 years.
2.8 years.
2.8 years. And you start to think about the repercussions. And what it says is that's next generation is looking for something. They didn't see it in their parents because they saw their parents come home too tired and all those different things. And so this retreat space is a way where we can get people in to really get rejuvenated, refreshed, inspired to go back and elevate their life going forward. Stop accepting that this is the way it has to be. There's a better way.
Now, one more thing on that Culture Cove. Like, how have you noticed like the difference between maybe, going into a workplace and maybe, having this conversation compared to getting people away? What's the difference in like takeaway for those people in those different scenarios?
I'll give you a quick example. Take you back to your childhood home. Some triggers are going to happen because that stuff happened in that space. Right. And so same thing with workplace environment. Everything happens in that place, even if it's a good workplace.
Right.
Just to be able to get away and disconnect, even just the way get out of the city, right? To get away from the wires and the stuff, because there's signals going on all the time. And there's something about peace and calm. And then you add on top of that being intentional, right? We always say that nothing of significance happens without intention. So if you want to lead and live a better life, you have to be able to get out of the norm, because there's so many triggers that happen. Again, the kids' activities, all the different things. Even when you go home, it's still home is still on your mind. But if you can get away, it's just an hour outside of Sioux Falls. So it's far enough to get away, but close enough to get back. So that's going to be huge for organizations, individuals to be able to disconnect, recharge, refresh, and come back with a better game plan to tackle the next 6 months, 8 months, the next year with a different game plan.
That's so good. That's so good. I love what you're doing with Think 3D. And I also know that you're not a coffee drinker based on our conversation beforehand, not to abruptly change the subject, but I do have to toss this in there. Thank you, Breaks, for sponsoring this guest intro. And we're going to be fully transparent. Tamien's drinking water out of his mug, but he does.
It tastes
have
better
a mug.
though. This mug is fresh. So,
and today I'm drinking the Absolute Blend from the Breaks, coffeeroasting.com. And this makes a great gift, and they ship all over the country. So if you are looking for really the best coffee, I think personally, try out the Breaks, coffeeroasting.com. They are not, if you're in Sioux Falls, they are not open on Mondays, but they are open Tuesday through Sunday. You can stop in there. Let them know that I sent you. And they'll be like, who? No, they'll know. They'll know. So make sure you check out the blend, the Absolute Blend from the Breaks. Thanks, Breaks, for sponsoring this little segment here. Now, I did see somebody jump into the chat. Jamie's in the chat. Watching from Pierre, South Dakota Community Foundation. Caleb's done a great work for us in the past. Oh, thanks, Jamie. I appreciate that. It's always great working with you. And we are going to be talking about what you're doing with online video content, because like I said in that intro, from the outside looking in, Think 3D is absolutely crushing it. And what I love about it is just this education-based video content, just on a regular basis coming out. Information-based content coming on a regular basis. What are some ways that Think 3D is using video right now?
Really, I mean, we made an investment into that. We have a 10-person team, and 3 of the individuals on our team, Joe, Antonio, and Jesus, basically run our production team. And really the idea behind that, I mean, in today's day and age, what's crazy is I'm in a lot of networking group with a lot of older leaders, and they don't get it. They don't get how, again, one gal in an organization was quitting to be an influencer, and they just can't wrap their head around it. But that's where it's going, right? That's why I think what you're doing is so important, because if you're not getting ahead of this stuff and putting out content, you're behind. Right. It's just the bottom line of it. And so, really for us, we made that pivot, or I would say doubling down through the pandemic out of necessity to a degree, when predominantly we do live events, do speaking, we work with organizations in person, and our line went dark, right? Again, obviously COVID happened. And so we had two choices. We could sit in our hands and hope for the best, or we can double it down. And so we ended up investing into some video equipment. One of the guys in our team figured it out, but then we started hiring. We hired Tommy was our first videographer on the team. And really, if you're not putting out your message, because the world, if you're good at what you do, how do you let the world know you're good at what you do?
Yeah.
Give them samplings of it, give them tastings of it.
Yeah.
Because there's always more. If you're good, there's always going to be more, but you have to start to give the breadcrumbs of what you're really talking about.
Love it.
And especially in a world where there's so much negativity news and so much crap, even just counterbalancing it with something positive. So the people that are for you are trying to find what you have to offer.
Yeah.
They're going to find it on social media.
Yeah.
It's the new news. No one who watches CBS News anymore, right? All those things, very few. It's dying.
100%.
This is the new medium, and so putting out what you do, why you do it, all the different things, it gives you an endless ability to put out and market who you are, what you do, and why people should work with you.
Yeah. Now, are you doing a lot of like organic content, or are you putting some like boost money behind some of that stuff? I almost feel like in social media right now, you almost to get it out there, you almost have to do some like boosting and things like that. But are you placing some of those ads and things like that, or is it mostly kind of like an organic flow that you're?
Most of it has been organic. So we just hired Megan Jung. So she's the director of our marketing and brand. And so she's an expert in that. Before, we were trying to figure it out and we don't know what we're doing. We were we just have good content because we have good video, amazing videographers. And so having somebody, so we're now getting into some of that placement, of which to a degree, when you look behind the scenes, you're saying like, man, because of our volume, that's where we've gotten to where we're at. So the video quality is there. But getting the reach, again, you need experts that tell you how do you go about doing that. Because you can't just, especially again, social media, I mean, Facebook, if you don't put dollars behind it, they're not putting it in front of people. As again, it's their platform, so they get to. But figuring out that right balance of organic, get your followers up, obviously have stuff to say that's important and delivered in the right way. But again, we're now starting to step more into, all right, how do we grow at that next level?
So I noticed like you have a lot of videos where you're just kind of sharing information, but you also have a lot of like podcast style videos. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the podcasts that you're doing with Think 3D?
Yeah, so I've done the Success Mindset podcast, where again, I basically was interviewing and unpacking some of our top community leaders. We just right now have a Burden of Leadership podcast with the mayor, stuff like that. And so it's important. Manny on our team does Champs Corner, so different kind of angles, because again, not everyone's style is going to be for everybody. So you put out multiple things because you'll find multiple people want to see different stuff. And so we do a lot of that. We do obviously some like lunch and learn. So again, when we do these lunch and learns, we always just have a camera on. If you're going to be talking and sharing something with the group, turn a camera on.
Love it.
And so that way you can capture something in that. We have our speaks from like Culture Con. So we're always recording that. So really, at the end of the day, it's like turn the camera on. If you can use it, great. If not, throw it away or put it to the side, but at least you have it.
Totally.
Where again, people are talking all of the time, but hardly ever thinking about how to use the content.
And that's one of the things that we talked a little bit about before the show. And I know, the viewers weren't there, with that conversation, but we were talking about like Gary Vee and how like just putting out content. I mean, he'll sit and just talk, but the camera's always on. It's like document everything basically.
Yeah. What are you losing? I mean, it costs you video storage, which is,
which can add up, but
it can add up. But again, at least it's there.
Worth it. Yeah.
And I'll add this though, because you're talking about the 21st century. If organizations, because oftentimes people just look at video content from a point of client acquisition or customer acquisition, businesses out there, if they're not thinking about their internal customers, their employees in the same way, you think newsletters, again, what is this next generation? They're on this device all 100%. The time. So rather than putting out that memo, pop on a video and they'll listen to that on the way to a meeting, or
shoot it on your phone.
Shoot it on your phone. It's not that complicated, but you're speaking to them in the medium of how they engage. And so many missed opportunities are happening. That's where, again, I think the work that you do is important. More companies hire Caleb and people like that to say it's real, because again, it's like it allows you to be more effective. And again, we work a lot with organizations all the time that get so frustrated. They have good hearts, they're well-meaning, but if you're not delivering it in the medium that your people can relate to, that they're already used to, they're not going to go on the intranet and your interweb of your company. And we told them the stuff. tell them in a bite-sized piece of information that allows them to engage with the way they're already engaging in content. And it's one of those things, that's where a lot of companies, if you're not already thinking about it and you're not already making plans, you're already behind.
Right.
And that's part of the reason where, going back to, you know, the 2.8 years that the average person staying, if they knew or you communicated with them in their medium, you would start to extend some of that, because they get to hear your heart and they get to know more of you. Because if they only see there's no emotion behind an email, there's no emotion behind the thing, but they get to see some personality. They get to see all those different things. So again, the work that you do is so important. That's why we have a video team as well, because the clients that we work with, it's an option to say, are you thinking differently how you engage even with your internal people to make it effective?
Yeah, I love that. The very first episode that I had of this show was about that internal component of like reaching your own people and then building a better culture that way, building better training that way. It's huge.
Huge.
Remember to jump in the chat if you have any questions for Tamien about what he's doing with Think 3D and the video content that they're putting out right now. Now, this question I think is interesting, because you do a lot of free information, right? I'm trying to do a lot of free information. How do you choose what type of video content to give away for free compared to putting behind maybe like a paywall or something like that? Like what's kind of your thinking behind some of those different types of content?
Yeah. So, I mean, really the paid content that we have out there, we have Think 3D University. So it's our training and development that you would get going through our Leaders Tomorrow class or working with clients in micro-sized bite content. So the 5 to 7 minute videos, again, that should be the length, the max of, right? And so it allows people to engage in that. What's different for us is when you go through Think 3D University, it's not just a self-paced thing, it's a cohort model. Again, with a different layer of accountability, because and in today's day and age, there's 1,000,001 places where you can get content free out there. You can get it's content. But the accountability is where people are missing out on. And a lot of people deal with procrastination, all of us to various degrees. And I heard this recently from John Maxwell. He had said some people are hide under the guise of being a lifelong learner when that extra learning is a excuse for procrastination. Did you put into practice that last thing that you heard? I don't care if it's one thing. I mean, I've seen some of your content. You're giving away free advice that if people would just do it, they would see some results. Now, again, there's no magic bullet. That's what people often are looking for. Again, there's no substitution for hard work. And so the differentiation, we put out, again, a whole bunch of content, because the reality is, I know until we can get you into a cohort or I can get you into a Leaders Tomorrow class, the odds of it working at the level that it needs to. So it's like most people aren't really going to follow through on some of those things until they pay. But with the other side of it, the psychological standpoint for people is, once you pay for something, like I'm in a mastermind group that I pay 10 grand a year to be in.
Nice.
10 grand. Holy cow. You know, and I see people, one lady in there, she's like, I spend like 50 grand a year on myself. It's when you make that commitment that you really are committed to that thing.
Investment.
So it's an investment, right? And so that's where a lot of it is. You put enough nuggets out there knowing that people will follow along. And I mean, next to never have I seen someone become massively successful on just free stuff. There's a level when you're really serious. Now, again, find your person. Again, if people dig what you're saying, it's like, okay, there's a point of ROI. You're going to get a return on that. So leave the breadcrumbs. But if you want a meal, right? Think 3D University is the full meal. If you're really hungry, we got a place for you to sit down. We're going to be concierge service. But we'll leave, again, here's a free sample of the bread. Here's the thing, taste of the meat. We give samples, but if you want the full meal, that's what goes behind the paywall.
I love that. Now, is there something that you've noticed as you kind of been, you know, you said like COVID kind of accelerated a lot of this stuff. Have you noticed anything while you're doing video content that maybe has been vital to some of the success that you've had? Like maybe that's consistency of content, or maybe it's like the type of content you're putting out, or is there anything in there that you've noticed that like, oh, this is what I'm going to double down on. This is what needs to happen with our video content.
Yeah, actually right now, I mean, part of the reason we brought on Joe Hubers, who's again, best in the business at what with video content. He's amazing.
Let me interrupt right here. He is the best in South Dakota when it comes to anything cinematography.
Yeah.
Blessed. Hashtag blessed. He's on your team.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's one of those things. He could have gone anywhere. And that's where like it spoke to and part of having investing in that level, because we could put out content in a whole bunch of ways. You could have find a kid out of college that knows how to do the thing. But the quality matters to us large in part because you need somebody with that eye to be able to tell the story. So I would say up until this point, an opportunity that we do so much community work. We do a lot, I mean, an absorbent amount of community work for a for-profit business. And in that space, people often like, what does Think 3D really do? Is it Leaders of Tomorrow? Is it Culture Con? Is it the community table talks? And so there's a lot of confusion out there about what is the core of Think 3D? What do they really do? And we hadn't done a good job of telling that story. So how we're leveraging that going forward, Joe's putting together an amazing brand story right now, again, from his lens, only that, again, the elevated pitch. So it allows you to give clarity, because that's where before novices of content, we just hired good people who knew how to shoot good content. And we were just putting it out there with, I would say, semi no rhyme or reason. How do you start to really create that narrative behind what each of those are? So again, when someone says, I'm ready for my culture to go to the next level, Think 3D are the guys. Versus diluting it with the other stuff. Again, it's also important that you tell the stories of why we're doing the community work and all those different things, but allows you to get clarity, right? A picture says 1,000 words. Well, video says 10,000 words.
Absolutely. What are some wins that you've seen, like with some of the video content that you've been putting out, whether that is like new opportunities that you've had or things like that? What are some of those wins, like maybe just as a result of some of that video content that you've been putting out?
I'll give you one example. So I would say coming up on 2 years now, Vonnie went to a conference. He had literally about 15 minutes on stage, but it was a big conference with RILA, which is Retail Industry Leaders Association. So again, that's the association for all the big brands, right? And we sent Antonio with them to shoot. And then while he was there, he was able to get another person on a pod. They shot a little ad hoc podcast. And we put out, so we made it a thing. His small little piece, we blew it up to be, again, we were able to extend it out, video clips, all that type of stuff. I don't want to say that was the only thing that led to us engaging with American Eagle, but they're one of our clients now, right? Nice. So it's like, again, Vonnie goes out there, I mean, multiple times a year. And some of that is, again, showing value add. Our mission statement at Think 3D is 5 simple words. We exist to add value. So when you think about that and you think about the wins, if for anyone out there, right, again, video content, you could add value. Again, me being on here, you're going to pop out, some things and, tag me in a couple things. And boom, you're adding value to me. So again, thank you for having me here as well. Right.
No, thank you.
And, but again, you're adding value to people sitting across from these type of things. And so when you can start to see just step back for a second and ask yourself that question. How is it possible influencers are getting paid what they're getting paid? Because there's data behind it. It's the new way of marketing and advertising. It's eyeballs. And so in that same way, if that many people are getting that, to saying, how could you add value to your clients? How could you add value to whoever you're serving, your employees, through video content? So even simply now, I'll get done with the session or get done doing training and I'll pop on. I'll have Zeus on my team, throw out the camera. He's very efficient, and just do a quick 2-minute recap video of what I just spent an hour keynoting on. That's value. I didn't have, it's not my contract. I don't have to do that, but I'm adding value. And so top of mind when they want you back. Oh man, it just adds to the experience.
I love that.
So again, a win is just being able to add value at a low price point.
And I like what you said, because you just like popped on the camera real quick and did that like after you're done, right? Like it doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't even necessarily take a whole production team to do some of this stuff. I love that. Frederick chimes in here. I just want to pop this question up. Thanks, Frederick, for your question. Can you boil down the essence or benefits of Think 3D versus the next guy? What's the emotional button that lands and keeps new business for you guys?
Honestly, the separation, I truly believe we're the best in the business at what we do. And the core of that really is the components of the personal dimension, the skill set dimension, and how we approach the differentiation. We don't fix anybody. we enhance. And so we
Yeah,
figure out
nice.
what you're doing well. The difference, a lot of stuff that you find out there is that it's a box set, right? If you do these 3 things, you too will be successful. That's a pile of BS
Yeah.
because every organization is a little bit different. It's a culture is an aggregate of all the
Mm.
people that make it up. And so you have to be able to adapt to what they've already done. One of the biggest misnomers is we don't work with bad cultures because
Mm.
bad cultures don't call us. It's people that already are trying and
Right.
they care about their employees and they want to get better.
Yeah,
So if you
excellent.
want to get better, you hire the best. And so in that space, when we come in, we take what they already have, enhance their views and values,
Yeah.
enhance the stuff they've already done. We leverage a lot of that. And one of the biggest things that separate us is why a lot of leaders and companies love us is because this isn't about here's a prescription of what the organizational leaders need to do.
Right.
This is an everybody in the boat
Yeah.
thing. Going back to how much time people spend at work.
Yep.
If you want to love your life, it will not happen independent of an ideal workplace culture. Ideal is not perfection, it's progress. And so again, being able to clearly and definitively help people see, here's how you're investing into the culture, here's how you're investing into your people,
Yeah.
which full stop, like
Yep.
again, just for them and
Yeah,
their
totally.
benefit, equipping them with skills like effective communication and then wrapping it around with accountability.
Yeah.
That's the separation is we truly partner with organizations and customize. There's no one plan that looks exactly the same for
Yeah.
any company
Hmm.
because we adapt to who they are, where their journey is. We respect that and appreciate that. And we just bring enhancement to it.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Frederick, for that question. Niobe chimes in here. How many pieces of content do you average from one event? We talk about breaking out the long form. How many pieces does that really look like?
Well, event is a very broad term. So you look at an
Yep.
event like CultureCon, which is a full day conference. There's lots of pieces of content to that. I would say for us at current, if I would say per hour, so if I were
Yep.
to do an hour lunch and learn session, we'll probably get 5 to 6 pieces of micro content from
Mhm.
that at minimum, and then we'll try to have some longer form pieces into that. So I probably would put it on a per hour basis, depending on. So when you say event,
Yeah.
at least in an hour.
It's kind of different types of events.
Yes.
And different types of content that comes from.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
us. But actually, I would love for you to jump on that because
Yeah,
you're the
yeah.
expert in that. When you
Yeah.
do stuff like that, how many pieces of
Well,
content
I
do you
mean, if
pull out?
like for this show, for example, I'll probably get like 20 to 25 reels. And you know what? That's
Listen to him.
yeah, that's and with all of the episodes that I've done, right? I'm set for the year on shorts and reels and things like that. But I'm going to keep doing this. And so
Yeah.
that's going to keep adding to that library. So
Which I think is important because, again, I would say until more recently when we had finally hired someone who knows, again, studies
Yep.
the marketing side of it
Yep.
and knows how many things you need, the novice in me is like, I feel like people already heard these things. It's like, nope, cut it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And it's a volume game.
Yeah, it really is. And like always being top of mind.
Yep.
Right? Always show up like so I have the 4 C's of the video lab, right? And it's a circle like this. Okay? And so it's basically like the pillars of the video lab, but it's in a circular form. The first one is consistency, right? First C is consistency. Always show up for your audience. The second one is community, like know your target group, right? Know who you're speaking to. That will kind of determine that next one is like the content that you're putting out, the actual content itself. Not only that, but like structuring that content to be the most effective content that you can get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last part is that creativity, and doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the most creative person, but what it means is like, what's your unfair advantage? Like maybe it's life experience, maybe it's education, maybe it's your product, maybe it's your personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can base your content around your personality, but then it goes back to that consistency because it's always like improving, always discovering new things, right?
Yep.
Always trying different things. And so the more content that you can put together, more video content that you can get out, you're always going to be like improving something as you go. And you're always going to be learning something as you go.
Yes.
And you're always going to be like finding that target audience as you go as well. Cause it
Yeah.
may change kind of throughout whenever,
I
but
love that.
and that's where it's like having just a consistent basis is, I would say almost consistency over everything.
Yeah.
Really. When it comes down to it, consistency over everything. Except for audio, have good audio.
Yeah,
that's one of the
I'm
most
out.
important
I'm
things.
out immediately. Like that's a rookie
Yeah.
mistake right there.
Oh man, have good audio. Hey, I'm just gonna toss this in real quick, Tamien, before we move any further. And this is down in the description. There is a link to my video playbook, which is a free download. It's you can go download this playbook, and it's, if you're just getting started with video content, like if you have questions about making your own video content, go download this free video playbook. And in there, I have chapters like this, like chapter 19. It's simple, like successful video. I've got links in this. It's a PDF that's interactive. You can go to these different links, like what is successful video, putting, video together. There's other things in there of like, what we talked about, like finding your audience. How do we find your audience? So if you're just getting started with online video content, go download this video playbook. It's totally free, that you can go download in exchange for your email address. Download it and work your way through it. It will help you get started with your online video content. Link is down in the description. Okay. Tamien, let me, I don't know why I went up like that. Okay, let's continue our conversation. We were talking a little bit about the like the success that you've had, or like some wins. We were talking about some wins that you were having. How about, like, as you kind of look at your video content and what you're doing, what are some things that you think that you guys could improve on as you move forward in 2024 or 2025 with your video content?
I mean, you're speaking to it, right? A little bit of just having a little bit more strategy, because up until that point, no one really came from it, did it. I mean, I was like, I'm in a mastermind group with this guy. He does video of historically Black colleges cheer stomp videos.
Okay. Right
Very
on.
niche.
Yeah.
He's making $250,000 a year.
Oh man.
I mean, just, I mean, like literally killing it in a thing. And I'm like, yo, because YouTuber, like, again, he's like got couple 100,000 subscribers, the whole nine. And I'm like, man, well, again, I'm like, he's making cheer videos.
Right.
But he found this, and again, everything you're saying, the consistency.
Yeah.
And that's where we go, like, we got the content. I got bars. I got all the things, but it doesn't matter if you're not doing it consistently, because the systems, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're businesses. So again, unless you have to learn the rules to be able to play through the rules and be able to be good at that. And so an opportunity for us has been, I mean, consistency is a big one, because we just kind of, like, I would say, I would call it to a degree, no rhyme or reason, putting stuff out. Now we're dropping, like Burden of Leadership is a great example of having Megan on the team. She kind of sets those little videos, the teasers up, and gets people excited, and it drops on a consistent Saturday.
Love it.
All this type of thing. So we're learning very fast in that. The next phase for us too is really now, so okay, we're going to drop a budget on marketing.
Sweet.
What does that look like? Especially as we give the Culture Cove up and running again, because that's going to allow us to expand into markets, Des Moines, Omaha, Sioux City, because it's going to be a space that other people can rent out, businesses can rent out to do retreats. So just learning how to find those algorithms and the marketing and to navigate that space that's new for us. Megan on our team comes from that. So again, she's going to help lead us through that. But that's been up until this point, everything we've done is just high quality videos, again, brought in a really quality team, and then putting it out there. But we needed someone that kind of knows what they're doing, of placement, timing, those type of things. So that's been a big opportunity that we haven't done a great job yet. And so that's one of our focuses going into this year.
Yeah, I love that. And there's such a huge, like, when it comes to like the video content strategy piece of things, it's almost like you can almost get overwhelmed with that, especially if you're just like maybe like a one-person business and you have like a service that you're providing or something. You kind of look at the calendar and you can almost become overwhelmed with like, oh man, now I have to make all this video content. They're telling me to make all this video content now. Like I've got my hand in so many other things as a business owner. Like, what advice would you give to like some smaller businesses, maybe, somebody running their own service or something like that, when it comes to like video content and maybe looking to get into video content? What's some advice that you would give somebody like that?
I think being a business owner, obviously myself, and now actually started my second business, seeing it from that standpoint of what it really takes to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have a broader strategy. Like, what is your strategy? Because it's easy to chase the squirrels. We're in a world of get rich quick schemes or magic bullet. Don't buy that crap, right? There's no substitution for hard work. But in that, find to what degree is the video content really part of your strategy. It better be a part of your strategy in some way, shape, or form. But in the world of overwhelmed. I always say people find themselves overwhelmed when they don't know what their whelmed is. What is your whelmed?
Right.
Because again, you only have so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
But how effective are you with that time? And so if it's like, okay, I know I need to do this, and we did it for a long time. Of like, we knew that video was important, but we just didn't have the skill set. So we did what we could with where we were at that moment. And I would say secondarily, in this day and age, reach into your friends and family. Like you got a little niece or nephew. That your little niece that's on her phone all the time. Like, ask her if she'd be willing to help out.
Totally.
Like, there's again, you ask me anything technical about anything video, I know nothing. I'm not that guy. That's why I have a team.
Yeah.
Right. But so I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I tried. There was a period of time where we were trying to figure that out until, I mean, again, what was the Mevo? You remember the Mevo little camera?
Yep.
That was our first. Again, that was before Dan.
Yep.
That was me and Bonnie, who had no technical skills in this. So like, okay, at the time, I think it was like $800 for that little. But that's what we had.
Yep.
So we used what we had. But nowadays, again, the way with cameras, again, there's stuff you can get. This, again, you already have a dope iPhone today.
Yeah.
Or the new Galaxies. All it comes equipped with so much, so you don't have to jump out the window to try to do something that is outside your realm.
Yeah.
Know your limits. Know where video fits in your strategy.
Yeah.
Don't try to over-index it. Leverage the people around you. Again, that's one of those things. There's more people in your sphere than you know. Again, when you go to your next family gathering, or just hit the ones you up on the you see them, empower them to help in certain ways. Because now, if they can help your business, that may be a part-time gig for them.
Yeah,
you don't think they want to get paid part-time to be on their phones?
Yeah, right.
Right. So start where you're at, but find that thing and put the work in on that thing. Stop jumping to jump. I did that for a long time with a lot of stuff. I was, again, an avid learner, as I called myself, but it was procrastination, just following through on the thing. So for those who watch your stuff, like, did you do the thing they said you could do?
Yeah.
Start here.
Right.
And then show it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Most people, it works if you work it.
Yeah.
It is, they don't have the patience to see it through. So pick a strategy and let your strategy work. Pivot when you need to, but stick with your strategy.
Yeah. And I love that. And like, what are other people in your industry doing too? Like, go do a YouTube search, right? Go to YouTube, do a search of, maybe you're like a financial advisor or something. What are other people in that industry? What videos are they making? And make those videos. Like, obviously you don't copy them word for word, right? Like, I have that in that chapter that I just showed you in the video playbook. You don't copy it word for word, but like that whole concept, like, obviously people are watching these types of videos. Make videos like that.
Yeah.
Answer questions that you get on a regular basis. Have people get to know you. This is the great thing about video content, right? People know you. They trust you. They see your personality. Like, we touched on all this stuff. Like, they get to see these things when you make these video content, that all those questions that they have before they even walk through the door, those questions are answered. Yeah. That's what I love about video.
Well, especially with Chat GPT, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, Chat GPT,
no excuse.
Give me a script about blah, 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 blah. And again, it helps. Again, then you can tweak it from there. So, I'm not a one that says use it verbatim, but it allows you to spark so much stuff. So in today's day and age with AI, the excuses are becoming more and more. Again, with Chat GPT and your cell phone, man, you can do a lot that we couldn't do 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. There really is no excuse. No excuse. Yeah, right. Frederick, thanks for this. The playbook is the bee's knees, Frederick says. Thanks, Caleb. Well, you're welcome, Frederick. I'm glad that that video playbook is working out for you. You can go download that. Link is in the description. We still have a little bit of time here if anybody has any other questions for Tamien and the video content that they're doing. So we talked about this a little bit, Tamien, but moving forward, what's kind of some of your goals for like the end of maybe 2024, 2025, like with, Culture Cove, things like that? What are some of those next steps for you guys?
Next steps, fewfold. So Think 3D University is one that, again, that's our scalable product. Again, anyone is going to allow us to basically scale. I mean, globally is the long-term vision of that, but it's starting across the state of South Dakota, because now we can scale because all of our video is already shot. That's a big one. Sweet. Culture Cove is huge because it, again, truly transformation. When Bonnie and I left corporate America, we were making good money. We could have stayed in that, but we really care about impacting people. My personal mission statement is to inspire the world to step into the higher potential. And so expanding CultureCon. So this will be year 6 of CultureCon, Sioux Falls, year 2 in Rapid City.
Nice.
So expanding that brand is going to be huge. And I would say, in the community work that we do, so Leaders Tomorrow, we have our Bridging the Gap, which is a nonprofit that's led by 12 amazing board members. But as we look to truly impact our community of Sioux Falls, we're a great community in a lot of ways, but we also have a lot of impediments. So a lot of our video content that we're going to be reinvesting into, where we're giving back and just sharing these deeper testimonial videos. He's doing a 4-part series on what's it like to be justice impacted in this community, trying to find a job as a felon, all the different things. So we want to go deeper into the storytelling component. And really put out pieces. I always say it's hard to have compassion from a distance. And so how do we get people connected by way of video and the stories, of which, going back to leveraging that video and the content to really give people a bridge to say, no matter where you're at, where you're coming from, whether you're a business, whether you're an individual struggling, these testimonial videos, because it says, man, I was like that too. And that's what's missing so often, is that gateway, because people want to show up where you're now at. Like you can't land, you can't start where I'm landing. Now, I'm not saying you have to go back and start where I started from first inning, but you can start 3rd or 4th inning, but right size your expectations. So I'm excited about continuing to provide these pathways of success. Now, success is defined by each individual, but if you look for it, like there's going to be people out there that says, here's how to do that, whether that's personal, professional development, whether that's, again, video content, showing people that it's possible no matter what you've been through, where you're at. And so as we continue to expand, just having more ways to help uplift our community, help uplift individuals, and help organizations be the best they can be, which then pays itself back forward in the individuals, their families, and our community.
Love it. Love it. Now, as we kind of come to the end, I always ask guest experts, like, what's one thing? We've touched on it a little bit here, but like, if somebody's watching this and they don't get anything else from this whole conversation that we just had, they watch this full hour, what's one thing that you would want somebody to take away from this episode if they don't get anything else?
Measure where your current knowledge is at. Again, going back to novices. So again, we got here video content wise, predominantly from somebody who never touched a camera. So Dan and our team, when COVID happened, we ordered a couple of cameras, ordered a simple switchboard, and started, again, we were like, we have to put out content. And so he figured it out. He just, again, literally read the manuals, again, never no technical anything, didn't go to school for it. It's not his hobby, it's not his passion. He figured it out. If he can figure it out, right? Anyone can say, if it's a necessity, if you see the importance, it's measure where your starting point is at. And so because of that, he was able to get better. Again, all the content that's out there, stuff that you're putting out there, other YouTube videos, there's no excuse that you can't find a way to get better. That's why I say measure, though, where you're at, because if you can measure and hold yourself accountable, here's my starting point. Whenever you're watching this video, start here. And then 3 months from now, measurably, are you getting better? That's why I love video, because it's evidence-based.
Totally is.
Is your sound sounding better? Is the video quality sounding better? Because again, if you're putting into practice the things that you're sharing with people, you should see a real result. It's like going to the gym. It shows up. You can't run from the mirror, right? When you go to, if you're going to the gym or not, same thing. Go to the gym. You can't, you can't run from the content that you're putting out. Is the quality getting better over a period of time? And so that should allow you to stop comparing yourselves to the Gary V's. And again, Gary V started with a cell phone. I mean, he's
been doing it a long time,
back before it was cool.
Totally.
And so that allows you to say, run your race, but hold yourself accountable. Are you on pace with where you want to go, based off of how much you're accelerating, getting better at? Start where you're at, no matter what it is, but measure your progress along the way, because you can't run from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And use captions.
Yes. Just captions.
It's all the rage right now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, this has been a great conversation. Thanks so much for doing this, and sharing kind of what your strategy is with Think 3D and where you're going and how you're using video. I think this episode brought a lot of value and motivation for people, honestly. So if you felt that, make sure you put that in the chat before we wrap up here. Well, Tamien, it's been great having this conversation. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
this was good.
Even though you didn't drink coffee, thanks for the breaks for
the water was tastier
yeah,
in this cup.
I love it. All right, man. Well, I'm going to take you off camera here, and I'm just going to do some wrap up here, and yeah, then we'll be off.
Cool.
All right. Well, again, thank you for everyone who jumped into the chat, asked questions, brought some comments, and then also remember to, if you haven't already, make sure you follow or subscribe. The links are down in the description, whatever platform you're watching on, or the other platforms as well. Make sure you hit those subscribe buttons, and then make sure you download that free video playbook before you go. Also sign up for my free online YouTube workshop, and there's a lot of great information in there, and you can read how it's affected other people on the webpage there. You can go and download that. I just want to toss this up real quick. Thanks so much, Michelle. Brought a lot of value and new ways to think about video. I appreciate that, Michelle. Thanks so much for jumping in. Now, next week, we have Cooper from Epicosity, and he's a strategist and a content manager there. And we're going to be talking about just basically organic video. All right. There's a difference between organic video and paid video. And this episode is just going to be all about organic video and some of the best practices when it comes to organic video. And if you don't know what organic video is, make sure you tune in next week and you'll find out all about it. Well, thanks again, Tamien. Thanks everybody for jumping in the chat. As always, this will be living on whatever platform you're watching on. This video will be living on that platform, or you can always catch the replay on YouTube as well. It'll always be there, and watch for the reels coming out this week from this episode. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you next